Hey everybody, thank you for joining us this morning, this afternoon. We have a lot of international folks, so this evening, I'm Todd Milbrand, senior channel partner manager on the open source team here at Sangoma. And today we're going to talk about how and why FreePBX consistently wins in K through 12 education. On the agenda for today, we're going to do a quick overview of Sangoma, introduce you to some of the team we have here. Then we're going to dive in to our platforms and products within our open source portfolio. Then we're going to take a deeper dive specifically into FreePBX within education, and then talk about some additional Sangoma solutions that are needed for folks in the education and government, and then wrap it all up by talking about how we can avoid the RFP process using the Omnia program. If you guys have any questions, we're going to answer those as those come in. Use the question or chat box within the GoToMeeting platform here. Those will get answered, and then we'll just highlight some of the questions that came up repeatedly or really good questions at the end verbally, so that we can share all that with you. So let's get into it. Who are we? Well, Sangoma, we've been around for 40 plus years. Got started in the mid 80s, making cards that go into servers to interface with the PSTN and the other analog type devices. We're publicly traded on both NASDAQ and the Toronto Stock Exchange. About 250 million, 265 million in sales annually. As it relates to FreePBX, we've got 2 million plus systems all around the world. And we are both the corporate sponsor of Asterisk as well as FreePBX. And we'll talk about both of those here in a moment. But want to introduce you to some of the folks we have on the call that are part of the open source team, and we'll be answering your questions in the chat. We got Michael White, who is the VP of open source. We've got I forgot. Yeah, you guys can hear that. And we got Chris May, who's our open source solutions advocate. Want to say hi there, Chris?
Yeah, howdy, y'all.
Thanks. Of course, we've got Tango, and for those of you that don't know who Tango is the mascot of FreePBX. So when you're going through freepbx.org or you're looking through in these slides and you see a frog, Tango is the mascot for our project. So let's talk a little bit about our open source solutions. Sangoma at its core is an open source company. Open source powers all of the various different platforms and things that we have, starting with Asterisk and FreePBX, going on to, the business collaboration that we have. We integrate those things with CRMs and property management systems and have ways for you to integrate with things we don't even know exist. We offer trunking, phones, hardware. We're not going to talk about it here, but it is relevant to schools, especially schools with lots of buildings where we can do managed networks for you as well as get you a single bill for any sort of bandwidth requirements, SD-WAN, etc. So Asterisk, for those of you that are not familiar with it, it's an open source engine. It's an open source communication application that anyone can download and use it to build a phone system or build something else. We have a lot of creative folks doing different things with it throughout the world, about 2 million downloads annually. It's been around since 2003, 2004, so it's a very mature product that a lot of software engineers turn to build communication software, including a lot of our competitors. You happen to be in Southern California, Southwest, or just want to get away in the beginning of March to Southern California, our yearly Astricon convention is going to be co-located with Scale, which is the Southern California Linux Expo. It's a really great place to get engaging educational sessions from us and the greater Linux community. There's networking opportunities and the ability to see some exclusive demos and speakers that you won't see anywhere else. So why FreePBX and not Asterisk for your phone system? Well, Asterisk it's all command line, right? So, if you think of, watching a movie where they show a typical hacker and they're typing in all sorts of words and things like that you don't understand, that's Asterisk. FreePBX is a GUI that goes on top of Asterisk, but it's more than just a GUI, right? We build additional things on top of what core Asterisk can do to make it a lot easier for folks to be able to install, manage, and set up a phone system for themselves as a hobby, which we do have a lot of hobbyists, or in their business, nonprofit, within their school, etc. So let's talk a little bit about that as it relates to the folks here on the call. If you're on this call, you're either in education or maybe you're a partner of ours that wants to sell into education. And, it's by far our biggest market on this side of the house. Usually when I've worked at places and you do a screen like this where you want to show off who your big customers are, you're kind of struggling, right? To see who do we have? All right, we can get 4 or 5 here. This particular slide, there are so many big organizations and school districts that we would have had to have done a couple of slides. So we limited it to this. It is by far our biggest market, and there's good reason for that. Anyone can take FreePBX, download it, download it from command line in Debian, or download our distro, install it, and within 20 minutes have something up and running. I'm not going to say a full phone system for a school ready to go in 20 minutes, but you can have it installed, some basic things done, and maybe a phone registered and ready to make an extension to extension call to another person. And when you do that, you're not downloading something that's limited, right? FreePBX, you're going to get as many ring groups, queues, things like that for free right out of the box. We don't say, hey, you can get 2 queues, and if you want more, you got to buy something. You're going to get all of this right out of the box. Now, we do make things that you can buy to enhance your FreePBX experience. These are called commercial modules. Those are all here on the right-hand side under feature add-ons. Everything else is just included with the base system. And these modules serve 1 or 2 purposes. It's either going to give you enhanced functionality, and you'll see some of that when we talk about specific modules and how it relates to things you need in an education setting, or it makes it easier to manage stuff. So you'll see that when we talk about endpoint manager or system admin. And by selling these modules, it allows us to pay our developers so we can continue coming out with new and great features and continue to sponsor and move on with this project. So some of the stuff you get for free, no questions asked, music on hold. Music on hold doesn't have to be music on hold. We do have 5 royalty-free music tracks that are included. You can upload your own. In school districts, what we see is a lot of music on hold is voiceovers that are done to let folks know about what's going on in the district or at the school. Like, hey, just, somebody calls in, gets put on hold, and they hear, just a reminder, we've got, the winter fair next week. That's at the gym at 7 p.m. You can also utilize streaming sources. It's not included in the out-of-box experience. We don't officially support it, but if you go on our community forums or I just do a quick Google search, you'll find easy ways in which you can do that. Everybody gets voicemail. There is no shortage of ways in which folks can get that voicemail. There's no limits. You can have just voicemail box extensions. A lot of times the way education or folks in schools end up coming to us is they have like an older Cisco system, voicemail is dying, and they'll end up with us just to do the voicemail to start, and before they know it, they're replacing out the entire system with our solution. But you can get visual voicemail on your Sangoma phones. You can get it, which are actual physical phones. We'll talk about those a little more later. Our user control panel, any of the soft phones, voicemail to email, and the visual voicemail with the Sangoma phones. I have a neighbor who owns a salon, and she's using our solution. But when I set it up for her, I didn't have time to do a little training or one-on-one with her to show her how to use it. She came home, came to my door as she was beaming, smiling. I'm like, "What's up, Amanda?" And she's like, "Hey, I got a voicemail, and it was so easy with your phones because the visual voicemail you have with your iPhone, with your Android phone, we can bring that type of experience to the desktop without needing for people to remember feature codes, star codes, things of that nature." One other thing I want to point out, voicemail to email does require our sysadmin module. And we'll talk about modules a little more here, but all of our modules most of our modules are 25-year licenses. So they're licensed, they're not owned. The license includes updates for a year. After the first year, you can renew the license to maintain updates. It's not required. But sysadmin is the only module we have where you buy it once, you don't pay for any updates or upgrades. You get those for the full 25 years. Call recordings included. We don't charge you to record those calls. Everything is permissions based, not just for call recording, but within the phone system. So, what we're doing here is a much higher level overview of things. But if you're seeing something and you're like, "Oh, it's a great feature, I don't want this group to have it," more likely than not, 99% of the time, that is something that's going to be permissions based that we can turn on or off for individual users or groups. So call recording comes de facto as part of the phone system. You can get our call recordings report as an add-on. That's going to give you the ability to easily sort through recordings by year, month, day, auto archive calls, download those auto archives, with everything kind of moving, there's so many apps out there where somebody can change their voice and call and make a threat to a school, or even worse, actually make a threat to a school. So most schools we work with have all recording everything, and having call recording reports to be able to sort through and manage it is a must-have. If you're not familiar with call parking, you can think of it as hold for the entire phone system. So I can put a call on hold, put it in parking orbit or parking lot, or however you want to refer to it, say 101, go to any other phone in the building or connected to that phone system, and type in 101 and retrieve that phone call. So a lot of folks use that for shared line appearance as a way to kind of virtualize it. Some folks are used to just kind of yelling over to someone, "Hey, call for you on line 2 or line 3. With our Parking Pro add-on and a dedicated button on Sangoma phones, which we'll get to here in probably about 10 more slides. you can recreate that experience for folks that want to continue to get their phone calls and transfer their phone calls like that. So let's get a little more laser focused on the education system sector here. First thing that's important is keeping everyone connected, and whether that's a janitor, principal, teachers, support staff. With FreePBX, you're able to give everyone one extension. The visual voicemail makes it super easy for folks to not have to get crazily trained on feature codes and things like that to actually listen to a voicemail. Fax the email is big, no longer having to go down to the front office and find out if that fax you're waiting on got there. We can do things to route it directly to the person it needs to go to. Paging is included. So paging's a big thing within school districts, and we'll drill a little further down into that here in a slide or two. The ability to text, which is something that's baked in with our Sangoma desktop and mobile apps, which will go in here. It's baked in and tied into our SipStation service that we'll talk about here shortly. Enhancing your communication with parents. I know there's various ways that you can do it, but with our solutions, you can very easily broadcast messages to parents. You can do that via the just aforementioned desktop app, which is also can be your phone. It's what's known as a soft phone, or using a module we have called the Exact Dialer that can do some mass automated calling for you. It's a broadcast module where you can put in a predefined list of phone numbers, and you can send different messages or use different things based upon whether the call is answered or goes to voicemail. Depending on what it is, you can even give somebody that's hearing the message the ability to say press 1 and talk to a teacher, support staff, what have you. A lot of schools want to use our phone system for an automated school bell system, or when, as part of looking at replacing their phone system, they realize that they might have to do some weird integrations, or they just want to replace what they were using for intercom and announcements, and they see that cost. We're able to provide them with our Paging Pro module, where they can automatically set everything for different school bells, start of the day, lunch breaks. You can do system-wide announcements, and this will integrate with any type of third-party SIP speakers or paging units, or units that will integrate with old analog speakers, right? So when I'm talking about replacing the intercom system, I guess depending on your school district and how new the schools are, I'm talking that big old, sometimes wooden looking thing from the 70s with all sorts of lights and switches. We can still then take that analog infrastructure, integrate with that, and provide you with bells and alerts and things of that nature. Another important thing to focus on in education is emergency readiness and student safety. One of the ways we can do that here, I'm just assuming you're going to get the Paging Pro module, which we just talked about. But when you have that, you combine it with our extension routing module. If somebody were to call 911, say a teacher in classroom 202, 203, what have you, you can set it so that any phone call that goes to emergency services will then go to a speakerphone, or group of speakerphones, or bunch of phones in the office, what have you, will go off hook, and that call will be getting played on the speakerphones, so that folks up front in administration or wherever they may be immediately know when a 911 call was made, and they can hear the extent of what it is, where it is, and better prepare the folks from emergency services that are going to be coming to the school, but then also to deploy their practices and procedures for dealing whatever the issue is. Um, Another thing related to, emergency readiness and safety is, actual uptime with the phone system. And, two of those things we can kind of address here are power failures and network failure. With our advanced recovery module, we'll go into greater detail on that here shortly. You can actually set it up so that you have a primary phone system in one location and a backup in another, so that if power were to go down or network failure were to happen, somebody cut a fiber line to the school, what have you, things will go to the secondary system. And you can even go further by, providing phones, continuing to provide power to the phones by using power over Ethernet and connecting up those power over Ethernet switches directly to UPSs or whatever else you have as part of your emergency readiness toolkit. So let's talk a little bit about, IP phones and accessories here. We've already kind of made mention of some of the ancillary stuff you're going to need for intercoms and ceiling speakers from like a manufacturer like Algo. We do have a module called Endpoint Manager, supports 20 plus manufacturers, 350 devices. And the point of Endpoint Manager is to provide you with a GUI interface to make templates and to directly auto provision and configure these devices. So, you can see on here all, if not all, or close to all the big brands are on here, ready to, be configured and set up. One thing to point out though is, if you're using Sangoma phones, you do not need to buy Endpoint Manager. Endpoint Manager is not an additional purchase there, and will give you a lifetime license to use Endpoint Manager when combined with Sangoma phones. So not all of the manufacturers and phones we just showed you on that previous screen support phone apps. Only a handful do. Phone apps, similar, we talked about visual voicemail and how it made things a lot easier for my neighbor Amanda. A lot of these can make things with an education a lot easier. Specifically Hot Desk, so if you have a sub or specialized subject teacher or professional that goes around the building, hot desking will allow that person to go to a phone, put in their extension, put in their password, and that phone fully becomes theirs. So if somebody calls their extension, it goes to them. They had voicemail or have voicemail, they can see it within the voicemail app. Whatever settings they had, it's there. So we do have all of these within Sangoma phones as well. The other big one is transfer to voicemail, right? Parent calls in, maybe talking to secretary or somebody at the front desk, wants to talk to the teacher. Well, the teacher's at that moment teaching their class and not on break. Instead of having to put in a feature code or do anything crazy, they can use the app to just quickly send it directly to that teacher's voicemail so that they can address it on a break or after school. So these are our phones, the P phones. We'd like to say that the P series stands for, the P is for purposeful. These are fully designed and built from us. This is not something that another manufacturer makes and we just throw our name on. It is built from the ground up by us. And, we can do a lot of really cool things with these phones that other manufacturers can't do, right? They're trying to make phones to support, 200 different phone systems out there. Um, and, due to limited time, resources, people, they're not able to do that cool stuff like we can. Um, so these are designed for all of our offerings. We've got zero touch provisioning. So when somebody is getting these phones shipped to them, you can actually log into our portal and provision, well, temporarily provision, or more, you can have them ready to be provisioned. Sorry about that. By pointing them to the server that they're going to be going to. And they fully support everything you would expect out of a phone in the year 2025, like Power over Ethernet, uh, EHS, which allows you to take a wireless headset and remotely answer a phone call. It stands for electronic hook switch, high definition voice, speakerphone, etc. We've got stuff at every price point and within the range. It's kind of just starting at the P310 and P315 and building up on that based on line keys or screen size. And when you get to, say, the 330 or the 370, both of those can support Wi-Fi. So we do have a lot of folks that use these for working from home. They also have built-in Bluetooth, and they also support the PM200, which, if we go back here, is the sidecar. That sidecar, will allow secretary or whoever's taking phone calls, if you want to do it from the physical phone, it allows you to support 40 total extensions or BLF keys or speed dials, and you can stack up to 6 of these together off of the 330 or the 370 and get a total of 240 buttons. Just want to highlight here the 310 and 315 are perfect classroom phones, super competitive price points, easily wall mountable, don't take up a lot of real estate on the wall or the teacher's desk. And then we do have decked cordless solutions. It's not something that you would use to roam all the way around the school, as you only get about 150-foot radius from the base. But when we do talk to folks in education, instead of having the secretary or whoever's answering phones actually walk around with a headset, they prefer them to walk around the admin office with this, because then they can transfer phone calls as needed without having to run back to their desk. So last thing is discussing, looking at what needs to be done to upgrade your telecom infrastructure. First thing you kind of need to consider and look at is, what your school or school districts currently have and what you'll be going to, right? I would say a typical small to medium size, maybe suburban district with an elementary, middle, and high school probably has 3 phone systems now. You can replace all 3 of those with a single phone system, either at it usually goes at the high school or the admin building. Of course, that could be 2, because you may want to put in a second backup unit using advanced recovery so that you can ensure uptime. But another thing to then consider is leveraging SIP trunking. A lot of the phone systems we're still seeing being replaced only supported regular phone lines. And so, you can now consolidate down 3 buildings worth of phone lines to a service that's right off the bat going to be less, but you're also then not going to need as many of those connections due to being able to just share them across, those three buildings. Um, and then you also need to look at what you need to maintain. So, we talked about some of the analog infrastructure with the intercoms or with the paging speakers. You can IP enable those with products from Algo or Cyber Data. I think Valcom makes stuff for that too. But then you also need to take into consideration what other stuff you have. Elevators, modems. Do you have emergency panic buttons? Um, are you stuck in a contract and you need to maintain those analog lines or a T1 or PRI line? And if that's the case, we'll touch on them at a high level here in a bit, but we do have gateways that we make, a series called Vega, as well as we do support gateways from other manufacturers as part of Endpoint Manager. So want to just go into a little more detail on a couple of the modules you can purchase um, before we go into PBExact and compare that to FreePBX. So Paging Pro is going to give you the ability to, like I said, get a phone call, go over speakerphone that's sent to 911 so you know what's going on. It also gives you valet style paging. So like what you hear at the airport, when you're at your gate and you see the gate attendant talking on the phone, you see them hang up and you just wait, to hear what they said because it's usually that you got delayed. But that's neither here nor there. That's valet style paging. And it's also what you're going to need if you want to use the scheduling we have built within Page Pro in order to replace your existing Bell system. Um, Extension routing and class of service. Both of these are things you're going to want to lock down the system, partly from a kid or student perspective, other people visiting the building perspective, but also, from a perspective of hackers getting into your system and trying to do things. The multi-factor authentication app is something that's now free, so that certainly helps with security. But you're not going to want to have a phone hanging on a wall that a kid can just pick up and do different things or make calls out on. You're going to want to at least give codes for teachers so that they can make outbound calls, so that if somebody wants to make a page, they can do that from any device without just playing around with stuff and figuring out, oh, you know what? I watched Mr. Smith and he came into our classroom to do a page to the whole school. I saw him dial 1234. So man, we're going to have some fun with that on lunch or what have you. You're going to want him dialing more than just 1234 in order to actually get out and do that. And the same thing with outbound calls. Kids nowadays may not even know what a 900 or 976 number is, but you're going to want to limit all that stuff and prevent yourself from having to pay a really big bill or high bill when you get your monthly billing statement, ideally from us for SipStation. So advanced recovery, talked about that a little bit, and how that's going to allow for failover and be a part of your emergency readiness considerations. And what it actually does is there's built-in monitoring that ensures that you get failover to the secondary server as soon as possible. It's not true high availability where like something goes down and it's immediately on the other one, but it's within under a minute. A lot of times, if it's configured correctly, within seconds. And once the primary PPX is repaired or recovers or whatever caused it to go down is resolved, you can very easily switch back. And the great thing about this is it works over a wide area network. It doesn't need to be in the same building. Doesn't need to be connected to it in any way, shape, or form other than over the internet. And you will get an email notifying you when that happens. And if you have any integrated third-party apps too, the great thing with advanced recovery is it will also support those in the switch over to the backup system. So I am going to do something which in this world is considered a little dangerous, and I'm going to live show you my soft client apps. So we've got both a desktop and a cell phone app. One thing I hear a lot from education professionals is about, hey, there are parts of my school or parts of my district where, on this floor in the back or over here, like there is no cell phone coverage. So if I am attending to A or attending to B and I'm in that part of that school and something happens, like I can't get notified. Well, every school I've ever been to or every IT director I've talked to for a school, Wi-Fi is everywhere. There's not a part of the school usually that is not blanketed in really good Wi-Fi. So you're able to use the soft phone app on your phone to make and receive phone calls, to get yourself synced up with SMS messages, which we'll talk about here in a moment with SipStation, but SMS messages are only supported with our SipStation platform and with the Sangoma Connect app. I'm going to try this one more time, and this is why it's always dangerous. I tested this 12 times this morning. Yep, mirroring's not going to work, so let's go through the slides. So mobile app works on Apple and Google. Not that I think there's any other platforms out there that are even remotely popular to those two. The app does really good job of handling transitions, say going from Wi-Fi to 4G to 5G and back. The configuration process is super easy. You just send somebody what's known as a deep link. So you'll tell them to download the app, and from the PBX control panel, you will send them a link that they click on, and it automatically logs them in as themselves, auto configures everything. So there's no need to, send out like instructions and separate, like, hey, here's your username and password, etc. And we'll talk about it a little more towards the end here, but we also now support something called SAML, or single sign-on. So if you're using Microsoft or Google or Okta, that can be baked into your soft phone and user control panel as well as the admin panel. So in the soft phone mobile app, you can set who your most frequently dialed contacts are. From there, you can see if they're on a phone call. Again, all of this is permissions based. Everything in this phone system, for the most part, is. You can very quickly call them. You can very quickly instant message chat with them. I know for myself, Murphy's Law, if I'm traveling for work, I get off the plane, didn't have any internet connection while I was in flight. I get off, look at my email, and the world is ending. I got to take care of something. I'm very easily able to just boot up my Sangoma Talk app, see who in the office is on a call or not on a phone call, and instant message chat with them or call them while I'm walking to baggage claim to be able to help me with whatever happened. So you can also use this to make external calls. As you can see, here's the messages. And if you use our SipStation service and integrate that with your PBX and our mobile apps and our PBX itself, you'd be able to send and receive phone number or send and receive text using your business phone number, which is great for teachers that don't want parents to have that number, or going back to some of the things we discussed earlier, being able to have predetermined lists that you can very quickly text out to folks. And same thing with the desktop client. Got some zero-touch deployment. You're able to log in, and from your desktop, you're able to see who's on a phone call. You're able to instant message chat with them. You're able to make and receive phone calls both internally and externally. You can control your presence. So for example, let's see if there we go. So here's my actual desktop phone. I'm set on Do Not Disturb because I knew going into doing this webinar, I did not want my phone ringing off the hook. And from here, I can also access my call history, which I don't use my desktop phone. I use the mobile, so it's probably still pulling everything. And I did delete all my voicemail messages yesterday. And if I want to chat with somebody in one of the offices, I sent a test to Dan earlier. You can also put together some group chats as well. So it's a great way for communicating in whatever way is going to be most productive for you based on who you're contacting and what you're contacting them about. So one thing to point out, blinking green, that's going to be somebody's phone is ringing. Solid green is going to show them on a phone call. This Do Not Disturb here, that's how I'm showing up to everyone else right now within my organization, so that they can see, hey, leave Todd alone. Don't try to call him on his cell phone. We mentioned SMS, but on both the mobile app and the desktop app, you can send MMS as well, if that's relevant to something you guys need for your teachers, for yourselves, or for your support staff. All right, so we've been talking about FreePBX. Anyone can download FreePBX. You can buy modules for it to give you enhanced functionality. Can give you enhanced abilities to manage and update the system. Like most open source projects, we have what you would call a professional edition. So we don't call it FreePBX Professional Edition. We call it PBExact. And they're both the same software, same operating system, same database. They're both software products at their core. We do things a little differently with how we quote unquote go to market or sell the product. So right off the bat with PBExact, 90% of the commercial modules are just included, right? So the soft phones, Paging Pro, a lot of the stuff we've already discussed. So you don't need to go through on a granular level and be like, do we need that? Do we need this? I don't know. Do you think things get missed when you have to do that? And you also get a more proven version of FreePBX, if you will. So when we go into development cycles, so FreePBX 18, I believe, is coming out next year. FreePBX 18 will go through our QA process here. Beta, alpha, more QA gets released to the world. We won't release PBExact 18 for about 6 months after that. So we're able to take those millions of folks that are already using FreePBX, and they will upgrade to 18, and they will report bugs to us, and that allows us with the quote unquote pro version to eliminate a lot of bugs before launching version 18. And that's not to say it will be 100% bug free. No software ever is, but the difference when you're able to take a product in a community, right? Folks that are in the FreePBX community have accepted, and that works for them, that model. But a lot of times with organizations like schools, things like that, you guys don't want to deal with that, and this allows you to get a more proven framework and not have to worry like, hey, do you think we need this module? Like it's just there, right? And it also gets you a commercial SLA-based support versus the community forums. Another nice thing that's great for IT administrators or just whoever's handling the phone system within education is PBExact gives you a basic GUI management that's not available in FreePBX. Like there's not even a module you can buy to do this. So if you've never played around in FreePBX, I've talked about there's permissions for everything that you can do. It can get very granular, right? It's a very powerful tool. But sometimes folks just need to very quickly create an extension or a IVR or how they want phone calls coming into the system to behave or their music on hold. So you're able to use this basic GUI management to do a lot of that and not give you all that granularity that you don't necessarily need in those situations. And all of this is, with all of it being permissions based, I know of a few schools, this music on hold here, they actually give permission to the music department. They're able to log into the phone system. This is the only module they can access, and they can upload new recordings of the band or orchestra to play on the music on hold, or they put them in charge of taking that and allowing people to give additional details on events that are coming up.
That's awesome, Todd. I haven't heard that one yet. Nice. I like it. I played a little in the high school band, so I'm particularly excited about that one.
Yeah.
So shout out to all the trombone players out there. Yeah.
My daughter played in orchestra, started going to be a music teacher, and she actually just wanted to do early childhood education. And today's actually, ironically, right before this got started, I found out while she's finishing up school, she just got hired in her home district that she grew up in to be a sub.
Nice.
So
nice.
I'm excited about getting less Venmo requests from college.
I'm excited about more FreePBX and PBExact deployments. It's definitely there's so many. We just open up the floodgates sometimes and ask and get a lot of great feedback from users who are posting in the forums about this or that in their school districts, and this is their system, and they may only need a module or two to add some extra features in, but definitely need phones, definitely need some trunks, and it's nice to have all these things available like in the GUI to handle, and it's really a lot of power for schools at a great price point. So I'll hold a bit. We do have a few questions queuing up, so whenever you're ready for those, I think we've got a few more slides. Is that?
Yeah, I think we got 10 more slides, and most of them are just quick overviews. So let's get into those. So with PBExact, FreePBX you can take and put wherever you want. We do sell hardware that you can buy with FreePBX already loaded on it. But with PBExact, we also give a cloud option, which is cloud.pbexact.com or pbexact.cloud. You can buy the software and virtualize it or buy it on-prem. Same great features, regardless of how you deploy it. And you can change how it's deployed in the future once you've gone one way. If you've bought the hardware, we've got plenty of folks that then just virtualize the software and move the entire solution off of hardware they purchased 5 years ago, 10 years ago, et cetera. So some of the key advantages over FreePBX, first of all, commercial modules, FreePBX, they're sold a la carte. PBExact, they're all just included. And people never believe me when I tell them this, and it's not like we have a ton of time, so I can't really dive deep into it, but typically PBExact, if you need soft phones and a couple of modules or endpoint manager, may not be less cost up front, but usually by year two, when you're talking about purchasing those renewals and things like that, usually by year two, you've already got a cost savings and something that's been a little more commercially vetted, right? With what we're able to do with module pinning on it. You also get a support SLA, right? Which is something that's hugely important to education and government, and having a phone system down for an hour, midday while school's in session, is somebody would blow a top. And having to go to a forum and ask somebody on the forums and hope you get an answer in time is it's not a good plan, right? So we have peace of mind plans that give you SLAs, give you some support, include all those upgrades and updates. So when we release a new version of the soft phone or this or that, you go with us. And then, just the ease of management, FreePBX. If you're a DIYer, which a lot of us, on this call are, me and Chris and Mike, we want to get into the nitty gritty, play around with things, break things, go through guides and videos and things that we found, figure out stuff on our own. FreePBX is great for that. But if you need something that has all of the power of FreePBX, is at a very attractive price point for the education community, and is going to give you support as well as some guided onboarding and training, PBExact is going to be the way to go there. So just a quick recap on PBExact and its value proposition, how it relates to FreePBX. You're going to get the refined GUI, a quick setup wizard to very quickly get you going, along with that easy mode I showed you. Commercial grade tools built in, so that's 90% of the commercial modules we make for FreePBX. And everything being tested as a complete ecosystem. Now I've left some of these other things that we see in education for the very end, because they're add-ons for both PBExact and FreePBX. And I'm going to start with Scribe, which is our AI that we use to provide transcription of phone calls, to do sentiment analysis. So, since we released it last year, and talking with folks in education, two of the things I keep hearing is, hey, it made the person who handles the sick desk or call out desk in the morning, it made their job a million times easier, because now they're just getting transcriptions. They don't have to listen to each voicemail that's left, letting you know, like, hey, this is Todd Milbrand. He's in Mrs. Smith's class. He's going to be out today because, his nose is stuffy. Also, the sentiment analysis, being able to take recorded phone calls and very quickly, if something was negative, right? So like maybe a teacher didn't tell you that, if you're a principal, that, Bobby's parents keep calling and, they're shouting expletives and not being decent human beings. From the call recordings, you can get that negative sentiment analysis and address it with Bobby's parents. So you'll get that transcribed content. Also, a new thing is we have text to speech. So when it comes time to do the IVR or any of the recordings within the phone system, you can use Scribe to actually generate that voice, and you can choose, amongst a whole bunch of different voices. And yeah, if you want to find out more about Scribe, certainly reach out to us. Same thing with SAML integration. So this is something we've been getting asked a lot from education, from enterprises, from folks in compliance. At a user level, it's like, yeah, cool, one less password to remember or to save or to stay on top of. But from a security perspective, if you're paying for cybersecurity insurance, it's going to bring your costs down. If you're not wanting to have to bring in something that isn't already integrated with your Microsoft environment or your Okta or Google environment, you won't have to deal with that headache of being an IT admin and managing another device. You can just integrate it with everything. And I've heard from quite a few enterprises that their cybersecurity insurance is going to go down because we were the last item they needed to get as part of this secure single sign-on. Sangoma gateways. So this is hardware that can be an add-on for PBExact, FreePBX, or actually other folks' PBXs. These are all carrier grade, which probably doesn't, that term probably doesn't mean much to you, but in the world of telecom, what it means is the components that are within these devices will withstand some very extreme conditions, extreme usage, and will not just randomly die in 6 months. The hardware that is within them is extremely resilient and should last you an extremely long time, as well as be able to provide those services you need to those legacy devices or those legacy phone lines you have coming in. SipStation and FaxStation, you've heard me reference SipStation a whole bunch here with SMS, but we're going to be doing a webinar on both of those next month, so keep an eye out for that. I'll go into more detail, but SipStation will give you the ability to SMS from FreePBX and PBExact if that's what you need. It gives you trunk groups, so if you've got, say, 15 phone systems you're putting in a large 15 PBExacts or FreePBXs you're putting in within a large school district, you can put together something called trunk groups that'll allow you to minimize the number of channels needed. And then FaxStation is HIPAA compliant, which I know isn't necessarily something required within education, but if there is faxing, most of the time it's a doctor sending vaccine info or a doctor sending health info to say, hey, student X, has been they're cleared to play basketball this season. So just knowing implementing FaxStation does give you in your student athletes and just students within your district guaranteed privacy. Know that it can be used with both eFax and we can use your fax machines, which again, sign up for next month's webinar. I'm going to go into a lot of detail on that. And so lastly, school districts, government, non-for-profits, you like what you saw, you like what I just went over, you like what you see on the internet about FreePBX and PBExact. Well, actually, FreePBX you can't do this with, but with PBExact, you can avoid doing a RFP. And you can do that through Omnia Partners. It's a contract vehicle via a cooperative purchasing group that allows you to go, you know what, I've already done the research. I don't want to write this RFP. I don't want to have to deal with writing an RFP. I just want to get it. This is what we want to do. You would go well, if you're a school district, and you're not working with a partner, you're gonna come to us and we're gonna get you engaged with one of our partners. And if you're a partner working with a school district, two of our distributors can support that, and that's Jenny and TD SynX. I know I put links on here. Was not expecting you to write down these links. If you just type in Jenny Omnia Partners, first thing that comes up. Same thing with TD SynX. Just type in TD SynX at Google, put in NCPA, which is the old name of the company, or Omnia. That'll bring up their sites. That'll show you what you need to do in order to purchase this equipment on behalf of a school district so that they can avoid going to RFP. And again, that works for governments and non-for-profits as well. So at this point, I am going to turn this over to Chris and Mike, who have been answering your guys' questions over the last hour or so, and have them answer some of the more common questions.
Hi there. Happy to jump in.
Yes.
Hey, great job. Thanks for sharing this information out. I know that, as you mentioned, K12 has been a huge resource for us in terms of vertical that is really adopting FreePBX. We're seeing more and more schools use it, and we love it. So we feel like we're part of this whole K12 thing that's going on. So I'm just going to start at the top of the list. Chris, what do you think? Will that be a good place to start?
Yeah, sounds good. Mike, I got a couple of thoughts here and there. I guess the first one is that questions about presentation availability, probably up on YouTube in not the too distant future, as all of our webinars are. So I think if that's a good answer for a few questions there, I'll just mark those and check those off.
I will say this too, though, and I don't want to mess up your name here, but Massimiliano, I can print this off as a PDF and send it to you directly. I've got your email address here. If that's okay with you, I can send the slide deck out as well. But this, as Chris said, will be up on YouTube in full presentation form. Next up is a question from Jody. Jody asks, is Astricon 2026? Can I attend remotely? So this will be another sort of YouTube scenario where we do post all the presentations and everything post-show. So there is no live feed this year, correct?
Correct. I believe we are not streaming live. As part of SCALE, the Southern California Linux Exposition, we'll be recording our sessions. But I would encourage everyone to make the trek out. This is the lowest cost, lowest price Astricon in a very long time. We're got several different other conference tracks that are available as part of SCALE. So Astricon itself, come on down Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday is the main SCALE conference with a number of different larger presentations. There's a large exhibit hall with a lot of companies similar to Sangoma that are basing a lot of the work on open source projects and adding support and other services and software on top of that. So we have a really great lineup. Our call for speakers wrapped up last week. We are working through now the acceptances and the agenda coming soon. So I did see some questions on 911 in regards to FreePBX. I just want to loop that into the Astricon talk and say I definitely encourage you to come to Astricon, to come on down for that, or out west as it were, to talk about that in more detail. I think Todd touched on it a little bit in the topic in the discussion today. With our SipStation product, we can drill down into second address locations for rooms and phone numbers and that sort. And it's definitely a topic of conversation at Astricon and has been. There's a number of great geolocation and routing features available in Asterisk itself. And so there's a lot of opportunity to discuss with core engineering and our FreePBX engineers as well and a number of different presenters who are talking about FreePBX and other topics. So be great. I think maybe I can take a stab in another FreePBX question on updates and our version maps, and some of AstraCon is a great place to talk about roadmap items and things that are coming up, but we do publish our projected our sort of forward looking versions of FreePBX, what we see coming down the line. We know that Debian 13 is out, of course, and we are looking to base FreePBX in 18 and PBExact 18 on Debian 13. So anticipate we're going to start working on our FreePBX versions. If you just look for that in our wiki documentation site, we give some that time to mature, and then we are planning to start development work in the spring on that. And our cycles, of course, if you have been with the project for a while, we were based on CentOS 7 up till FreePBX 16, PBExact 16, and with that going EOL, we are moved on to Debian, so that's a lot of infrastructure plumbing changes. GUI looks the same, a lot of improvements in the GUI, but underneath a number of different locations and configuration directories and things like that have changed. So we've had to that was a lot of retooling and work, but we are going to plan for not such a big jump between 16 and 17. In the future will be on Debian, and so we'll be doing a little bit more like a rolling sort of updates. And so the move from your FreePBX 17 Debian 12 system onto FreePBX 18 with Debian 13 should be much smoother than in the past when you're changing the underlying OS. I think that is, hopefully that answers that question about the projection. I did see one further down in here. Yeah, go ahead, Mike. Sorry. Yep.
So there was a quick question from Mike regarding, is Sangoma Talk a free application if you use ShipStation? So Sangoma Talk is part of our SoftOnes application. It is included in each extension that is purchased with PBExact, but it is an a la carte feature, as most items are in FreePBX. We have a single user license, or you can buy and get a bulk discount at the 20 user count. In terms of configuration with ShipStation, both of those applications are desktop and mobile, as well as the web app, do support SMS with the ShipStation app. So that is a feature that is included. You do have to file for the campaign registry and follow some of the standard FCC requirements for SMS. But to answer the question directly, the Sangoma Talk mobile application, as well as the desktop application, which we call Phone, are a la carte features in FreePBX. Do you have one you wanted to jump on there, Chris? I'm kind of just going down the list myself here.
Yeah, Mike. I think there was a question on the DEC phones and coverage about from Alex on regards to if walls and metal cabinets affect the range. Yeah, it's definitely it's an RF system, so concrete not your friend. Oftentimes we need to consider I think what Todd mentioned with the blanketing of Wi-Fi in so many schools is a great option for using the Sangoma Talk client on your soft phone, on your mobile phone. But it's a general statement on DEC phones, with regards to equipment in the way. So I think for moving around, depending on maybe a lunchroom or something, it's a great option. Larger open spaces like that, of course, pretty good choice. And I mean, the nice thing is that you're talking about a much more probably a friendlier price point for the DEC system versus a smartphone with all these other apps on it. So depending on what your needs are, but I don't think we have like any specific specs to offer in regards to what that looks like. I'd have to follow up on the exact ranges. Some other questions on.
Jump in here for a second on the.
Yeah, shoot, Mike.
Hi, Tony. Mike here. Love to catch up with you on this question about the P-series provisioning, but I'll read it out loud here. So Tony asks, when, if ever, will the P-series XML config be documented so that I can use it with non-Sangoma PBXs? And this is a good point that I'll bring up, Tony. We've documented that for quite some time. I will share out the most recent XML provisioning guide for that. And I also wanted to just quickly note that we have made some changes in 4.27.x to expose the web graphical user interface for SIP configurations as well. So at this point, you can use that config file preparation, or after 4.2.x, we can now utilize the web user interface to do that provisioning as well. So that stuff is out there. Tony, I'm going to drop you a link here for that most recent version of the doc. And I've also noted your feature request about the wall mount. Let's see here. We've got a question from Jared. Jared asks, I'm in California. We're wondering when FreePBX or PBXact will fully support laws around 911 calling, specifically the requirement to report the exact location of a call, room, or floor. The lack of your platform to do so renders FreePBX a no-go. Well, I would say that we're fully compliant actually with this configuration as is today. Jared, maybe you missed something on that, but we do support that now. So full compliance for Kerry's Law and Ray-Baum Act. We do have the ability to specifically identify rooms with the application, floors as well. It's more of how you set up the FreePBX system than the feature lacking. I also did want to mention, as Chris touched on there quickly, we have some pretty cool new stuff that does leverage some of the core components of Astra, specifically PIDFlow, which will give you a dynamic location routing for within the SIP header itself. So that's coming down the pipe very quickly. Chris, I don't know if you want to expand on that or.
Yeah, I guess I tried to hint at it to come to AstraCon. I think it's going to be pretty exciting. I know we've got a lot to talk about in this regards, and we certainly understand it's a very important point. I did do some presentation work at our FreePBX World Summit over the summer, this past summer in Denver, to highlight some of the ways that things could be customized in your PJ-SIP configuration in particular, and we run into management issues with putting this information into the PBX itself, and so there's a lot to consider when we're loading this in, and where that information is stored, and privacy concerns, and how we want to continue to improve it. And so one of the nice things about AstraCon is that it can become a larger conversation in a number of the hallway chats and sessions and things of that sort. And so having that interactively, I think it is a good, is a good approach. Of course, we have wholesale carrier services with Sangoma that has been at the forefront of this, technology, and allowing that. We have configuration available that supports this, and Asterisk itself just making available the geolocation in the PIDFlow. I mean, there's a number of different RSCs to pick and choose from, and it's important to talk about some other ideas about this being a global set of standards that people are implementing throughout the world in different ways that they're able to relay this information. And there are a lot of privacy concerns and things we're looking at and discussing, and so it's an active ongoing conversation, and love to have more people be a part of it, and hoping that's something that we can do in AstraCon itself. There is going to be, opportunity for, having a lot of other discussions, hoping with other developers and things who are running these systems in a variety of different environments, and we want to try to include, more people in that as we move it along. So we happy to send some more, docs on that, Jared. I think Got an interesting one here on from Andre, I think, asking whether FreePBX supports email to fax similar to fax to email. And I think with a little bit of glue, that would be something that could potentially be something you set aside for a personal project. I don't know off the shelf if we have an email to fax.
I can jump in there.
Sort. Yeah, please,
so
Mike.
FaxPro does support the ability to have fax to email. However, on the outbound, the only option currently through Sangoma is to leverage our titanium VFax product. So we do offer a cost-effective solution that would allow you to format an email, a phone number at the titanium fax email domain.com and have that ability to send a fax out via that. But currently it's only as part of our service space through the VoIP Innovations product. So if you do have some more questions or have some interest in that, I'd be more than happy to discuss that one with you offline as well.
Cool. Good to know. Thank you. Looking for.
I see one here about portal activations. So This one comes out from Rob. Rob, my team is here to help with those. We can pretty much get those taken care of by reaching directly out to your assigned Sangoma account representative. If you log into Portal, the same place you're viewing these activations, if you look at the top right, there's going to be a person's contact info there. Shoot an email to that address, or there's a website in there, a phone number in there as well. There's a phone number on freepbx.org. We do have the ability to do that in real time for you. You can call in, Monday through Friday. We're actually here until about 7 p.m. West Coast time. So you actually have the ability to give a call in and have that updated for you. So I'm happy to help there. You can also shoot an email to the default sales group email address, which is also listed on the site, and we'll get that taken care of for you quickly. Just be sure to include your deployment ID or bring that along for the call.
I see another one here from Saeed. It looks like, asking if FreePBX 17 still allows use of users and devices, and there is an option for that in the advanced settings. I have not tried it myself recently, but there is a choice for users and devices mode between extensions as well as device and user. And so if that is available, happy to have you give it a whirl and let us know how it goes. And if you haven't played with it a while, if you found issues in the past and maybe those have been fixed, if not, we do have a pretty active forum community as well as issue tracker on GitHub to look into open source questions like that in particular. But as Todd mentioned, and with our commercial modules and support, that those are options available for those modules as well. So that is a good question about how to provision these things. But yeah, typically we're using that extensions as the default, and so those are tied to a little bit differently into the system. But yeah, I guess that's about it for questions. It was a great bunch of questions. Some other questions about maybe it looks like maybe this is more of an international question. I guess PRI cards and other equipment. Yes, we do. As Todd mentioned, Sangoma has been offering interface cards for many years, and we do offer these as well for our appliances. You're able to purchase with integrated design for that equipment, so that you can set up an interface with a PRI E1, T1 channel banks. We have directly into the systems, available options with the larger pizza box appliances. So, you can still set up EX trunks, and just saw some of those in a log file today, actually. And it'd be for an inter asterisk exchange for the sort of a VoIP protocol. There is an RFC for it. It's like SIP, only off a single port. So makes it a little bit easier sometimes for punching holes in firewalls and whatnot. Carries the median signaling over the same layer, unlike SIP, separating out the median signaling. But getting in the weeds a little bit here. But yes, we future presentation ideas for that. Yeah, yes, sir.
I see a good one here from George. George asks, can we use Mitel IP480 phones with the system? So I'll say this. So good news on that. We are internally testing right now an update to Endpoint Manager that supports all of the Mitel SIP phones. If you are interested in helping us do some testing with that, I'd love to get your feedback directly. But if you don't mind terribly, I'll reach out to you directly over email and get you with that latest version so that you can check it out. Just going through the list here to make sure we didn't miss anybody.
Yeah, we definitely have several follow-ups. We do have contacts. You can follow up over email. I think we've got quite a few to touch base with. We have a contact form on the FreePBX website as well. If you want to go to freepbx.org and fill that out, we receive those and process those as well. Some questions about compatibility and other things of that sort, and that's definitely a great base to build a lot of systems on. Of course, I'll say this about Sangoma and being the corporate sponsor. Just reiterate Todd's slide from earlier of both Asterisk and FreePBX, and been the sponsor of Astricon and the stewards of these open source projects for a decade now, I guess. It is a lot of discussion and internal communications and between our engineering and support and sales and marketing, legal, and all these different departments kind of working together for delivering great solutions for customers. And these products, these are some of the core of our business here. So we were able to leverage open source improvement and into a variety of areas and engage in feedback. And sometimes it looks like a FreePBX issue that we need to address. Sometimes it looks like an Asterisk issue, and we work together on improving those things. So that is one of the advantages of having these things, and working with Sangoma, and then having phones that tie in directly and on other hardware, and all the way from the picking up the phone out to the dial tone to the end user is pretty powerful, all-encompassing system. So, but Alvita has reminded us that we are over time.
Well over time.
So, yeah, Todd, I guess you want to wrap it up here, or?
Yeah. So thanks everyone. Appreciate you joining with us. Due to the nature of our business and our products, we couldn't go over every single detail of every single thing. So if something piqued your interest and you want to know more, reach out to us. We can do a personalized demo, or just jump on a phone call to answer your questions for 15 minutes. We're always here to help.
Thank you very much, Todd. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.